All right, so MFGE422, rubric and instructions for our Capstone project. All right, so with respect to the entire project, we've been going chapter by chapter, and we'll continue to go chapter to chapter through class. Each one of these chapters will help give you the tools you need, including the project doc insights you need for your project, overall project. As you go through the project, you're going to have to consider pretty much all the aspects of facilities design, management, and planning, right? Inclusive of material handling, your bill of material and purchase components, auxiliary equipment. What I mean by that could be tables, it could be restrooms, it could be a bunch of different stuff, right? Stuff that's required for the personnel to function and work at the facility. Hell, parking spaces, right? Storage of material. Each of these planning techniques, again, we'll cover in class. You have a tremendous amount of leeway here for some creativity. I am not going to prescribe how this thing has to look. I want you to run through the tools and get some experience here. But all of your suggestions, your overall plan, when you make the presentation of the project, it's got to be plausible. All right. Also, then you'll be presenting the project to me as if I was the owner of the company or the CEO or CFO or whatever. So, and I think in a couple of weeks, you guys have got to come with your project approval. So what 2 or 3 products you're going to make in your facility, in general, what markets you're going to serve, that sort of stuff, right? And then once you've got that approved, a double thumbs up, then you'll be off to the races. Bottom line here, guys, you are seniors about to graduate from an engineering school, right? So I want to see that you can convey to me in a professional manner and that your facility proposal is also professional. This is also not going to be a cookbook 1 through 18 answer sort of thing, just like our plant visits. Trip reports aren't 1 through 13 cookbook, right? Professionally structured, professionally written, using full sentence and paragraphs, table of contents. Really, if you follow Appendix A in the back of your book, right, you will have great success, even though we're going to do some swap of what's in their project versus what I'm asking you for. In general, that format, that presentation methodology is what the expectation is. And then finally, this is your project team. The 2 of you or 3 of you, for the most part, the 3-person teams. This is your project, your plant, your team, right? And just make sure that everyone has a chance to contribute, and you certainly will, because each one of you will be responsible for 1 manufacturing line in this project. All right. A couple more items here regarding general guidelines. First off, academic honesty. We've talked about this in class before. And I think the phrase is that plagiarism is the highest form of flattery. And it may be. But a number of you are working on the floor in a manufacturing facility. I mean, I know some of you guys are running CNC lathes, CNC mills. So typically you're not going to have access probably or have seen many company presentations with which to draw experience from. So you may also have some of you guys on the team, guys and gals on the team, you are front office folks. You're in quality, maybe you're in your manufacturing engineering as an engineering tech, right? You've probably sat through presentations for plant rearrangement. Maybe you've seen some marketing studies that have been available to you either at your company or other places. So the desire to make this as easy on yourselves as possible and borrow other people's things and then make them your own to make this task of the project easier is a bad idea. Because I've been there, I've done it, I've seen it. You're probably not that good. I mean, I've had students do this who have lifted stuff from company presentations, rebadged it, and then tried to sell it to me. That does not end well, and that's absolutely not going to end well for you. So fight that urge. While I am absolutely okay if you have things that you've seen other places that can help instruct you, I'm cool with that. But picking stuff up and plunking it in and say, well, this will be our marketing plan because XYZ company did it, and just plunking that in, bad choice. So don't do that. If I get wind of it, I'll start doing keyword searches. I'll start digging like a gopher. I've got contacts in town. You don't want to end up down those crosshairs, all right? You get nailed on this one, failing grade in your final class would be ugly. All right, I know it sounds draconian, but dang it, I've seen it happen, and it just really pisses me off. All right, so don't go there. Okay, finally, now some final thoughts regarding project quality. And you heard me say this when we talked about the plant visits reports as well, right? And that is, would I hire you based on your project? Would I evaluate fair estate on the outside world? If I'm a plant manager at Steelcase or Hahn or wherever, would I evaluate fair estate as a credible institution based on your project? Right? Would a future boss of yours be impressed with you and your project? You want to be able to make sure that you can answer yes to all these questions. When you turn this project in, you want to be able to say, yep, I could actually pull this out because it's my own stuff. I can give it to a plant manager and say, hey, this is what I did in my project class to redesign or to develop a manufacturing facility. That's where you want to be. All right. All right. So here is the grading rubric. We're on page 4. And I'm calling it evidence-based, and that means I want to be able to see it for myself. I don't want to have to sort of figure it out if it happened or not. I'm going to want to be able to see the actual results in the project. So 5 through 1, 5 being the highest number of points you can attain on every element, 1 being obviously the least. I suppose you could get 0, so if you didn't have it, would I give you a 0? I'd probably give you a 1. Incomplete or non-existent, right? Excellent and good, 4 and 5, those are the categories, man, that are going to get you higher. That's the stuff that's solid work. But there's a difference between good and excellent. Excellent at the top, number 5, 5 points. It's amazing work. I want to be able to use it as an example next time I teach the class. Sensational, all right? It puts you at the top of the higher pile. When a hiring manager has to make a decision, you're going to want to have yourself be in the position of excellence to have that decision gravitate towards you. Next level down is 4. It's good. It's good with solid work. Everything's included. It's professionally done, but there's no wow factor. It's sort of maybe like you were just kind of going through the paces. You did it. It's good, but it's not like blowing my doors off, right? However, and 4 is fine, but you can't have 4 on everything, and you'll see why in a little bit. You're going to need to strive for the 5. You need to strive for 5. Okay, number 3, acceptable. It's there, something's missing. It's just not right. Something looks off, it's not fully developed. I've got questions, I can't follow the thread of logic. Maybe you've got some missing words or misspellings. There's 3 of you or 2 of you on the team. The proofreading problem should not be a problem. But if it is, and I'm an engineer, I'm not an English major, right? So you might be able to get some stuff past me because, like I say, I'm an engineer. But if I catch it, it's got to be pretty bad. All right, that's 3 points, 2 points below average. It just looks sloppy. You missed some stuff. Basically, you've just embarrassed yourselves, the university, and our country. And then number 1, unacceptable. Either it's missing or you guys totally blew it. We've got weeks and weeks worth of project time in the class. There should be no reason anybody gets anywhere near a 1, 2, or even a 3. All right, you're going to have plenty of access to me in the classroom to ask questions. All right, and remember too, a little arrow at the bottom where it says Project Doc. As we go through the lectures and the presentation material, when there's something that I expect to be in the project, which you're going to see a list of in a moment, it will be annotated at the bottom of the slide with the words Project Doc ! So on the previous slide, we talked about striving for 5, right? And being a 100-point project, you can kind of see why. Under the grading system we have here, this is the Ferris State grading system. It's not my grading scale. It's the university grading scale. It's the one you've been living with for your whole time here at Ferris. Recognizing this is a 100-point project, it's worth half your grade, so it's pretty freaking important. You can see pretty rapidly, though. Let's just a good example here is. It's 100 points, so let's just use that column for 195. That's your project. That's total project points. It's also the grading scale, so it's a good way of looking at it. From 100 to 95 is an A. If you miss 6 points out of all these elements you're about to see, because it's worth total 100 points, you're already into the A- scale. Miss 10 points, So lots of goods, a few excellences and lots of goods. You're already on your way into the B plus, maybe B, doesn't, actually 10 points, right? Put you into B already. So you can see that very, very rapidly, not striving for 5, not striving for excellence, quickly erodes your ability to get a solid grade out of this project. So it's a cautionary tale. Strive for 5. The moment you've all been waiting for, the points. Okay, so let's step through these. I'm not going to read them because you can, but what I want you to see is these are the elements I'll be grading. I will have a piece of paper in front of me that will look very similar to this, and it's going to have basically a bunch of bubbles on there, and I'm going to be circling as we zip on down how you guys did across all this stuff. So first phase in your project, I'm calling it project planning. You're going to rely heavily on Lecture 2, which some of you had live and some of you had online with the MP3 file and the PowerPoint presentation. That's okay. It's sufficient. It is sufficient for what you need. Here are the 5 planning areas of planning required. Executive summary, description, products and project, the facility location, in space requirements, so square footage. Now, not all of those come from Lecture 2. Obviously, a number of these components also come from later in the class. But you'll have to pull all this stuff together. This is sort of the section you would see in the front of your project. Any project that you provide for a facility upgrade, a new greenfield site, an expansion. This is the stuff that the executives want to see right up front. Right. They want to see some cost numbers as well, but you can get those once you start going a little bit further down the line here. But right up front, bam, planning. Some of this stuff is easy, right? We've already talked about KPIs. Those are reasonably well defined for you, but you're going to want to make a case as to why and how you're going to execute them. Right? You're going to show me how you're going to use them, what units you're going to use, for example. Right? Mission statement, we spent some time on that in class. I would say, too, that basically you can see number 4 there, capture the imagination. Essentially, that's sort of what the whole planning piece is about anyway, is capturing the imagination of the people you're presenting to. Having a compelling, kind of visceral reason as to why this is important, needs to be done. You're kind of already beginning to show the blood, sweat, and tears that go into this sort of thing and why it's important. All right, so items 1 through 5, points. 5 excellent, 1, I don't know what happened. Content. Now this is in alphabetical order. You will see in each one of the presentations we've been doing, the lectures, at the bottom the project doc deal, where it's going to have a project doc, an exclamation point. You'll have an example of all this stuff, right? Or we'll go through it in class. So each one of these elements, and I'm not going to read them all, because again, you guys can read them, but this stuff is what is required, and I will be grading in the project. This is the meat of it. Your table of contents, right? In there, these could be, subheadings beneath the table of contents, or they would be a couple of elements within a specific table of contents item, right? But again, all of this stuff needs to be in there. And a number of these projects are individual bits and pieces. In other words, they go specifically with the manufacturing line, the 2 or 3 lines that your facility will have. Again, each facility, depending on the number of teams, will have the number of products launched. Those products launched, 1 for each member of the team, will also associate to a product line, some kind of a manufacturing assembly line, pooping stuff out, raw materials coming in, pooping out parts. So if you've got a 3-person team, your company's going to poop out 3 parts based on 3 manufacturing lines. There are things in here that are individual requirements for each one of those manufacturing lines. So each one of you will get a chance to do these items. They'll all be part of the project. Right? I will recognize whose line it is, right? Because you all told me whose line is what when we do the project approval rating, project approval class in a couple of weeks, right? But then I will look at those in its entirety. The thing is, the total project is what's being graded, right? So while you'll have 3 manufacturing lines, you'll have 3 cell layouts probably. You'll have 3 set tack times. You'll have 3 manufacturing sequence charts. I'm giving you 1 grade for them. So if someone's slacking off, it hurts the grade for manufacturing sequence charts for all of you. So it's important that each of you pressure test the other to make sure everything looks consistent, organized, and top-notch. That's how teams work. There are no weak links in a team, only weak teams. Ooh, is that profound or what? Okay, so, and then I want you to, as you're going through these, it's not just show me your, I'll continue on with this manufacturing sequence chart and just plunk it. No. That's, yeah, it's there, right? You plunked it on the page, but man, you missed a bunch of stuff. In other words, why is it there? Why does it work the way it is? What are the features that are part of it that make it important? You know, why this method? How it's going to work? How it flows to the rest of the organization. Give me the narrative for each one of these. Explain what I'm looking at. Pretend I'm not an engineer. Pretend I'm an accountant. Pretend I'm in marketing. Pretend I'm in sales. What am I looking at? Why am I looking at it? Those are the folks that will be in audience leadership at a facility, at a company you're going to join, right? Those are the people, the level of people, the head of marketing, the head of sales, the head of finance. Sure, the head of engineering will be there as well. IT might even be in these meetings. We're looking for an approval, right? But you have to be able to explain to everyone what's going on, not just your boss, not just your professor. Not just, it's the entire group of people. They're going to walk around. Once you leave the room, they're all going to walk around and ask for a table knock. Thumbs up or thumbs down, right? And isn't maybe it's thumbs up for the project, but it's thumbs down for you. Don't be there, right? So, again, you are a team. Make sure it looks like a cohesive work. Even though it's 2 or 3 different manufacturing lines, it must be cohesive. Some of these things, some of these elements are team elements. The material handling plan. That's a group activity, right? Where the bathrooms go, that's a group activity. How many handicap facilities do you have to have? Parking spaces, that's a group activity. How do you get a stretcher through the facility? Group activity, right? You may have a piece of equipment that is shared. We talked about this in class. Maybe there's a paint booth. Don't try selling me 3 different paint booths unless you have a tremendously compelling reason. Like, this paint booth is for an e-coat, and this paint booth is for, I don't know, a varnish. Okay, they're not the same piece of equipment. I totally get that. But explain to me why. Because if I'm a marketing guy, I'm going to say, why do I have to have 2 different paint booths? That doesn't make any sense to me. We're painting stuff, right? So you have to be able to explain what's going on with that. So each one of these elements needs to be present. If it's missing, yeah, I'll give you a point. I won't give it. There will be no zeros. Or I'll give you 1 point. But at 1 point, it's basically a death sentence anyway, so don't be there. Make sure you're shooting for 5, strive for 5, 4 on occasion. All right? We'll go on to the next section. Okay, this is the final 10 points. I think we've gone through 90 so far. Presentation worth 10 points. Only 10 points, Professor Bonnet? Well, okay. No, so the presentation isn't going to make or, well, it could make or break a letter grade, right, based on our grading scale. But, we're not going to have a lot of time. There's a number of, this is going to be, 5 or 6 teams, 7 teams worth of presentations. I don't want to spend all night going through presentations. And we'll talk a little bit more about how long the presentation needs to be. I don't think it'll even be probably 10 minutes. It wouldn't be a point a minute. We'll try and, I don't know. I'll think about that. The bottom line here, though, is you're going to have to make a presentation, and this is what I'll be looking for. Effective use of class topics, crisply conveyed. When I say balanced team, that means everyone's talking in a balanced way. There's no one that gets to say, well, I don't really talk too well in front of the public, so I've ceded all of my presentation time to my 2 colleagues. Wrong answer. Again, because I'm going to be, grading on the entire team. If it's out of whack, if one guy or gal is doing all the talking, that's a problem. So let's not do that. I'm not going to, well, I will. The you hired box, that's what we're shooting for here. You're hired, but it's also more profound than that. This really is, the top, the capstone class of your, believe it or not, your manufacturing engineering curriculum. We're trying to hone your skills. I'm trying to help you hone your skills. This is the last crack we get at you here at Ferris before you walk out the door and unleashed upon the world. Again, we talked about changing the world, right? That's what our goal is here as manufacturing. That's what engineers do. Engineers change the world, right? When you flip a light switch on, that didn't just happen. whole bunch of applied math guys, aka engineers, guys just like you, figured it out how it works. When you turn the key on your car, it ain't magic, right? Engineers like you have changed the world. What I'm trying to help you guys and gals do here, is to put you in a position with this project, your presentation, basically the entire class, to hone your skills so when you get out there, you have a voice. You have a voice to change the world. And oh, by the way, your voice is profound enough and solid enough and polished enough that when you go for your interview, you're hired. All right, a couple of last bits here in the final slide. So as we go through our classes, the remaining classes, and we still have quite a few, even though we've kind of lost almost a month from weather delays. As we go through the lectures, we'll have some lectures. Obviously, every class they've got a couple of we actually got 4 plant tours. But as we get later in the semester, the lectures end, and then you will have class time. Basically, the lab time. It's supposed to be like a 4 or 5 hour class, right? I'm gonna squawk at you for maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half. The rest of the time is for you to have in-class project time. You have access to me. I'll wander around the room. I'll answer questions if somebody, but you guys should be digging like gophers. I mean, you can dig like gophers in the class because you're all there, or you can do it. You can all say, hey, we're out of here, man. Great, boom, and off you split. Okay, that's your choice as graduating seniors and adults. You can slice this any way you want. I'll be in the class until class ends, and if once the last person walks out the door, I think it's 9:50. I don't want to be there until 9:50, but I mean, if the teams are there until 9:50, I will be there until 9:50. But I think the garage closes at 10, so there's a door shut and there's a gate that rolls down, and I'm sleeping the night in the truck. I don't want that to happen, right? So, but my point in all this is, you will have access to me, deep access with your teams. You will have all the tools you need, right, to be able to make this project, basically get it done in class hours. Hopefully, very few hours outside the home, or inside the home, I guess our little classroom home, will be required. I can't say that's the case completely, right? You may have to meet with your colleagues at a library and work through stuff. That's cool, right? But I'm trying to provide for you time. I'm not saying I'm giving you all the time. I'm trying to give you plenty of time. So take advantage of it. Take advantage of me in a way that is class appropriate. Right? That's it, folks, for the project. Okay. My expectation is you're going to listen to this video. You're going to say, wow. You're going to have some questions. Bring your questions. If you don't ask me the questions, I can't give you. Ask me no questions. I'll give you no answers. So make sure you come loaded with questions. All right. See you in class.